3, 2, 1.
Roll red, upright track red.
Turns and shoots, he scores!
Take that silver. Take that
Mike check 4. Number 2 RL.
Take 3. Number 4, stay with the defender, 30 blue. Ready 4.
Way back to the wall, out the ball. That ball is out of here! Oh, sucker!
Have a good one, everybody.
Shooting to Score is brought to you by Hall Pass Media and Hall Pass Studios. Hall Pass Media is a full-service marketing agency that specializes in brand consulting, event management, digital marketing, and creative design. Hall Pass Media has a wide range of clients and partners that include the NBA Summer League, the NBA Coaches Association, and the basketball tournament. For more information, please visit hallpassnetwork.com. This episode is also brought to you by Sports Business Classroom, an immersive sports business training and educational experience unlike any other. Registration for this program is now open. The experience is a one-of-a-kind learning opportunity for anyone interested in the sports industry, specifically the business of basketball. For media professionals, this is a unique opportunity to enhance your sports business intellect and network with some of the brightest minds in the field. If you dream of one day landing a job in sports or wish to advance in your career, this program will allow you to show the right people that you have what it takes. Sports Business Classroom combines the best of all worlds into a single package. It's great academics, it's hands-on experience, and immersion at the Las Vegas Summer League. You can check out all the details for the 2020 program at sportsbusinessclassroom.com. And if you're at all interested, make sure to apply as soon as possible as this program will fill up. Again, the URL is www.sportsbusinessclassroom.com. Hello and welcome to another episode of Shooting to Score. Today's interview is with freelance video producer Logan Beerman. Logan is a young creative who brings a ton of fresh style to his videos. His showcase of production abilities has been noticed by many organizations already in his career. One of the most noteworthy is U.S. Soccer. We talked about a lot of different things that he's experienced in his career, but I think it's suffice to say that being embedded with the U.S. Women's National Team on their historic World Cup Championship run in 2019 was the coolest. There's a lot to gain for any creative listening to this interview, as we talked about a lot of different skills that it takes to make it in this industry. With experience in broadcasts and live streams, as well as social content and long-form documentaries, Logan brings a loaded skill set to the table, and I had a blast discussing all these areas with him. I hope you enjoy this interview with the one and only Logan Beerman. Welcome to the show, Logan. Come on, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks, Max. Good to be here.
How you been?
Good to be back in the old offices here.
Back in the old crib, huh?
Yeah.
So we'll get started right off the bat. Want to just get going into your career a little bit. From everything I know about you and I've seen and that I know you do, you're the definition of a hyphen in this industry. You know, you don't really have one specific role. You do a bunch of different stuff.
Very true.
So can you go through just right off the bat all the different responsibilities and kind of stuff you do to kind of make a living in this world?
Yeah, I'm a freelancer, and I dabble in kind of two worlds, like the live sports TV production world, and then more of the production side, editing, behind the scenes, documentary type stuff. So I do both things, which is kind of a tough balance at times because you get pulled in both directions. But I try to keep doing as much as I can. So I mean, I don't know what you want to dive into first, but we can go. I work for like U.S. Soccer and the Chargers, doing more of the production side, and then I do freelance live. I'm a replay operator for sports TV.
So starting in live TV, I mean, is it just replay, or are you doing other stuff for live broadcasts?
Coming up in college, I got a cool internship with ESPN 3 in the Big West Conference, which is out here. And so I kind of got to like learn all the positions like director, producer, camera operator, and replay. And I kind of like found my spot being a replay operator. And so now most of the production stuff I do, I'm a replay op. Yeah.
Okay. And then when you're doing kind of more produced packages and stuff like that for U.S. Soccer or the NFL, what are your roles in those pieces? What different stuff are you doing?
Mostly a shooter and editor. We'll do, that obviously it's fun to be on the creative side because you kind of get to think of I don't know, more of like experimenting and like coming up with an idea to like create a cool piece of content. Whereas the live production side, you're more behind the scenes, just kind of like, it's more like, I don't know, regimented, like you're doing the same thing over and over again, whereas on like the U.S. Soccer side, I'm like more creative, getting to like come up with ideas of things we want to shoot and put out to social media or wherever it may be.
Do you have a preference?
I like both. See, that's tough. It's where I am right now. I have to kind of decide like which way to go. I feel like, but I'm gonna try to keep doing them both as long as I can. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, so there wasn't a specific reason you got into the industry to necessarily make those creative ones, or just to get to work in live sports?
I think sports is a big thing for me. Like, I grew up playing sports, and just to like be involved in sports. And then obviously I went to Chapman. I was in their film school there, so it was kind of like an easy way into the sports industry. But yeah, no, I think I like doing both. I think originally my plan was like I want to do live sports TV. I want to be like a producer for ESPN, and I want to like do that. But I think the more I've done U.S. soccer, the more I also have learned to enjoy the creative side of things too. Yeah.
So how'd you get into sports? I mean, going back to what sports did you play growing up, and like what was there a point that you knew you wanted to work in the industry?
Since I was born, I guess. I mean, that's all sports is like, I live and breathe sports. I come from like a family of everyone works in sports, and that goes to my uncles and cousins are, we're a sports family. So I played baseball and basketball growing up. Played a little bit at Chapman my freshman year.
Baseball, right?
Baseball, yep. But yeah, and then I knew I would end up in sports. It was just a matter of what role. As a kid, of course, you want to be a professional athlete. Right. When that didn't pan out, I was like, all right, well, I gotta find option number 2.
So when you're at Chapman, I mean, or it might have even been in high school, was there a gig or something, an event or something that you worked, on the sports video production side that you were like, this is it, like, this is my industry?
To be honest, like, before I knew anything about editing and camera work and any of that stuff, when I was in high school, even like before I was in high school, I used to film. So my dad was a high school volleyball coach. I used to like film his team's games, and then I would make like a video for their like sports team banquet. And this is like before I knew anything about it. I was like going on Google, like how to use iMovie, stuff like that. And like I always loved doing that stuff. So I think that gave me the idea of like, hey, I want to go to Chapman because they have a good film school.
Right.
And then from there it took off from there. Yeah.
Was there, whether it was with ESPN3 or with us or anywhere during that time, or maybe it was after, that you kind of worked a gig or an event that you were like, you realized like I'm on track to be in the sports video production business?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was that ESPN3 internship in college for sure. Shout out to all my buddies over there. Like, still have good friends that work there and stuff. But that like introduced me to the sports production world and like gave me experience doing things that most college students don't really get to do, because like when you get in the TV sports production world, like you realize very quickly that the same people that have been working those replay jobs and producing jobs have been doing it for a long time, like since the beginning of sports TV. So it is tough to like on the operational side to like get into those roles, because they got like veterans that have been doing those jobs forever, because it's a good gig and they don't want to give that up. So yeah, that internship for sure. Like once I got that experience, I was like, I really like this. Like, let's put more effort into this. Let's give it all I have and see what happens. That's awesome.
When you were working that ESPN3 gig, you had more of a role. I mean, you got to do all the different jobs, but like, it sounds like I remember you telling me you were behind the scenes getting to help even build out the truck. Like, what were all the different things that you got to do there to kind of give you a taste of the different jobs?
Yeah, I mean, that was like the beauty of that internship, is you got to experience everything, like literally from the beginning of getting in to go see how like the truck was being built. It was like a new concept for ESPN at the time, because it was right when ESPN3 was like kicking off, Watch ESPN, like online streaming. And so they were building these smaller trucks. It was like in the back of a van and a trailer, basically, that it was like a prototype of like, hey, this is the future of ESPN, which now it's turned out to be like, yeah, like look at everything that's streamed on ESPN now. That's like really how it started. So so we got to see basically this, like, we were like the first part of this new wave of like ESPN technology that was coming out. Yeah, streaming, exactly. It was all for online. So it was like, let's take what we do on ESPN on this big, massive scale, and then let's downscale it as much as we can and like keep the quality there.
And so we can multiply it more
exactly,
easily.
So we can spread this out and get more things on air. And so like because of that, I got to, see like how things worked, how things were like literally plugged in the truck, and it was just good. So like I would get to experience, let's see, the different things I did. The first thing I did on that internship, I was a cable wrangler.
Right.
I was just a utility.
That's how most kids start,
a utility runner. So like I would just, pull cable for the floor, a camera operator if it was basketball that they, need to move around. You're just trailing them, coiling their cables. Started there. Then I was a camera operator. And when I was a camera operator, I was like, dang, maybe I could be like a camera operator.
Yeah.
Like, this is cool. And then I experienced replay, and I was like, well, maybe I was just liking everything.
Yeah.
I think that was the cool part is, we just kind of got to do it all. Yeah.
So walk us through your career then. I mean, from that point to where you are now, what does that look like?
I think right after that point is where you guys came in a little bit, and that's when I got into more of the other side, the creative side, working with you guys at Summer League and doing the Adidas Gauntlet stuff and all the old stuff you guys used to do. But yeah, I worked with you guys, and that was when, I don't know, I kind of sat next to you and edited for a lot. That was my first time like really just editing a lot and seeing how you work through things. And that was like my next step. And I think that's kind of what got me into U.S. soccer, which came shortly after that when I graduated. And I became a freelance videographer for them, for the men's and women's teams, which has been awesome. I've been doing that since I graduated. It's like 5 years now, maybe more, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so getting to travel all around the world with U.S. soccer in that capacity has been awesome, and something that, I've been places I've never would have gone to if it weren't for working, which has been cool for that.
So I definitely want to go into U.S. soccer, but the last thing kind of want to go through your school days kind of thing is that, like, even when you're here, like, I noticed all the different stuff you were involved with at Chapman, like with the university sports programs. What spurred that, and like what was the motivation behind that for you? Because that gave you, I think, a big, leap up or a head start on the competition or other people coming out of school because you took so much ownership of that stuff.
Yeah, I think it was just basically like what's available, like when we were in college. I remember me and my buddy Ben, who I lived with for a while, we were always like trying to think of videos that we can make, and we're like, what can we do? We both like sports, and we're like sitting, at his house at Chapman, and we're like, what can we do? And we're like, well, Chapman has sports, like, let's go like reach out to the football team, see if we can make them videos. Let's go like see what we can do. So that's kind of where that started. And so we made a video for like the football team's homecoming game, and like it kind of like got some love on Twitter, and we were like, hey, that's kind of cool. Like one of our videos kind of took off a little bit, and then that was also the time at Chapman where they started broadcasting, like live streaming their sports. So like I was one of the first people involved in like live streaming the Chapman basketball games and football games as well. So that was cool. I think it was just like, it was just right in front of us, like waiting for us to like take it, and that's what we did.
Did you have that in mind when you like stopped playing baseball, that you're going to go into like start producing features, or did that spur the decision or make it easier?
Yeah, like my whole plan going into Chapman was like, I'm going to go to Chapman. So like out of high school, I didn't have the portfolio to be able to get into the film school, because it's competitive, as you know, it's competitive to get into that film school. So my college counselor in high school recommended like, hey, go to Chapman, just get into Chapman, which baseball helped me get into Chapman. And then like once you're in, it should be easier to like switch your major into the film school. And that's exactly how it played out. So yeah, when I was done with baseball, that was like the first thing on my mind was like, all right, let's go give this like film thing a shot and see what happens. And luckily I got in and everything worked out.
That's awesome. So then, you graduate school, you start working for the U.S. soccer team. What's that been like? And can you go through kind of that experience and the different responsibilities you've had with them?
It's been good. My very first trip with them, I'll remember, it was with the U20 men's team. Shout out to my guys on the U20 squad. But I had like a phone interview with the head of the video department, and I originally applied for an internship, and he was like, you could be like a freelancer. I think you're more qualified to be a freelancer than do this internship. And I was like, sure, I'll be a freelancer. A few days later, he goes, all right, you want to go to Costa Rica for this U20 qualifying? It was like to qualify for the U20 World Cup. And I was like, sure. And so that was that. It was like a month in Costa Rica.
Oh, wow.
To qualify for the U20 World Cup. We qualified, and then we went to South Korea for the U20 World Cup. And that was like my first experience with U.S. soccer. And then from there, it was like, I guess they saw like I was capable enough. So they were like, all right, you want to come up with the men's team and shoot some stuff with them. So then I got on board with the men's team, and then now I'm predominantly with the women's team, but I do a little bit of everything.
Doing with the whole U.S. Soccer Federation and all that stuff. What kind of content are you producing? Like, are you doing game recaps? Are you doing videos for social? Is it everything? And what roles do you have on those projects?
It's a wide variety. Most of it's for social media, I would say, but a good majority of it is just like, I mean, there's different things. So like a lot of it is social media and the website. I would say that's number one. And then we also shoot like, press conferences, media availability, stuff that we send out to media outlets, networks, stuff like that for them to have. But most of it is like social media, behind the scenes, documentary type. So like we do this like documentary type behind the scenes show, which we call Behind the Crest. And it's just like short episodes of basically like, leading up to games or stuff like that. So we do that, and then we do social media content, like more like flashier edits, sizzles, and then you got your promotional stuff too. So it's like, it's a lot of stuff. And
you're shooting and editing it and like, have your hands in a little bit of everything.
Yeah, shooting, editing it. And like, because it's like kind of a small group that are on those trips, you do get some say in like, you can throw out ideas if you have ideas and be like, all right, yeah, we should do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess we'll start with like the U20 team back. I mean, I know this was several years ago, but like what size was the team that went there, the video team specifically, to produce that content?
That was just me.
It's just you.
One man band. Yeah.
So you were just in charge of making the videos
that was, I pretty much had free reign on that. We have like, so usually you have a press officer, right? Or like a PR person. And so we had a press officer with us, but it was like his first trip also. So it was like, we were two figuring it out together. It was just the two of us, yeah. And so it was like, all right, go make some videos. And I was like, all right.
See a lot of freedom there. Yeah. And then, but obviously you did well because they kept moving you up and working with the big boys, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah.
But like, so say if you're going to a men's, qualifying tournament in another country, I mean, what is a video production team? What's the size of that team like?
So usually for the men's qualifying, we had 3 or 4 videographers.
Okay.
And then you have like a producer, and then you have a social media team, basically, which is usually just one person. And then we have 2 photographers or 1 photographer. But you
guys are all kind of working together as one creative team.
Yeah, we're kind of like the creative team working together. But yeah, that's like, for those men's qualifiers, that was like the most. For the women's World Cup, we had 3 videographers. I feel like that's pretty standard. Yeah. 3 videographers. Maybe it was like that for the men's too. 3 videographers kind of to like do everything that we needed to get done.
And then like you guys are embedded with the team, right? Like, do they use consistent people? Like you're still a contractor, you're not employed by, you know, US Soccer. But like, do they use you consistently because they trust you, know your content is going to be consistent, but also because do you have relationships with the players? Like, does that factor into stuff?
Probably. I mean, I think it's like familiarity is probably good. You don't want to like keep cycling people in because it is like you were saying, it's like a team environment. So you don't want to like, I don't know, be constantly bringing in new faces to the team.
Sticking cameras in their faces if they don't know them, don't trust them.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I hate that part of the job anyways, like sticking, like always, because like U.S. Soccer is tough because you're in a hotel, right? So it's like a unique kind of environment because you don't have like a home training facility where like the players come in, they train, they go home, and they're away from you. So you're like with them the whole time. So like cameras are around a lot of the time. So it's tough for them, I'm sure, having a camera in their face at all times. So that's kind of a part of the job that I hate, but I don't know, you kind of have to just get past that. But I'm sure, being like familiar with the players is like helpful for sure. Being that
embedded, do you have a relationship with the players so that they built up that trust with you, so that when you are around with a camera, they know that you're not gonna do them wrong at all?
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. But yeah, when you're with like, I've been with like the women's team over 2 years now, which is kind of crazy to say that, but so you get to know them, and because you're with like I'm with them and the people who work with that team, the staff, like more than I see my family, which is crazy. Like you're on the road with them so much that hopefully we develop some good relationships and they can like trust me that, you know, I'm not trying to do anything to like put anything out there that's gonna hurt their image. But it makes all I'm trying to do is like boost them.
Yeah, basically. And it makes them let their guard down a little bit, that they can trust you and they can be more free in themselves, which is obviously the better content.
Definitely. Definitely.
Is there any kind of like, obviously you have a message that the U.S. Soccer Federation is going to push on you guys, but is there like nationalism going with a national sports team as opposed to like trying to compare it to like say a team like the Warriors or whatever? Like it's going to be a slightly different message or like theme that you guys are going to push, and it's a bigger organization too, so it's a little bit different in that sense. I mean, can you talk about that?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
Do you notice any of that, or do they tell you anything like that, or can you talk about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure. Like, I mean, that's like the cool thing about U.S. soccer is like you're playing for your country, right? So like that's the thing that sets us apart from different sports organizations is that like this is for your country. So it makes it more than just like soccer. It's more like you're saying, like I guess nationalism is a big theme. We have like our own, like U.S. soccer has a branding team, right? Of course. So they come up with like their slogans, they come up with their messaging, and they'll get that messaging across to us, and then we do our best to like follow through and make content that like best represents that messaging. So yeah, but I mean, being like an American team is definitely cool and unique for this position for sure.
All right, so going back to this most recent U.S. Women's National Team gig you had, I mean, what were you shooting on? What were you editing on? What were you guys using?
Okay, we shoot on, well, all right, this last game we were in Frisco, Texas for the She Believes Cup. That was the last game we did. We shot two people, so we had actually 4 of us, 4 videographers for that one. 2 people were on FS7s, and then we had a red. One person was on a red, and then one person was on a GH5, just kind of like roaming, getting fans, like literally getting angles that were just, you know, you can't get on sticks.
Right.
So kind of roaming around, doing that sort of stuff. That was me. That was my job for this one.
So
usually I'm shooting the stuff, but I got to be the roamer last game.
A little more creative freedom, but you're also not down embedded on the field with everything.
Yeah, well, I was on the field, but you're just kind of like going around like, I don't know, I was trying to get like behind coach for a while.
Okay, so it's those creative angles, those creative cutaways, stuff that you can use in edits.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, I mean, do you guys have like storylines that you're going to produce, like for the edits that you guys are going into it with essentially shot lists or themes that you're trying to shoot when you're making for the post-production videos?
Yeah, so like the main videos that we do are behind the crest, which I mentioned earlier. Yeah. It's like behind the scenes documentary almost. So we'll have like, you know, I think the last BTC that came out was like, we were in New Jersey and Saquon Barkley came to one of our training sessions. So we like did a little, you know, that was like one segment, and then the game is like the next segment.
Okay.
Yeah. So like we try each thing to like have something that's like not soccer.
Right.
And then
makes sense.
And then the game story.
So there's essentially two scenes in
like
the
we try to
show.
get as much not soccer as possible, but it's kind of hard sometimes when there's just nothing there. But like, cause that's the cool stuff that like people don't get to see is like what's going on when they're not playing.
The humanization factor of it. Yeah,
exactly. Like everyone gets to watch the games, but like what's going on when, you know, nobody can see what's going on.
What have been some of your like favorite moments with U.S. soccer that you've gotten to experience?
I got a lot of good ones, but some bad ones too.
All right, well, let's start with the bad ones. Dude, let's hear one or two of the rough times that you've had.
Not qualifying for the Men's World Cup. That was I was there in Trinidad, yeah. So we just all we had to do was tie Trinidad, and we would have been through to the World Cup, and we lost. And then some other dominoes actually had to fall also. Like we could have lost, and then some other dominoes, if they didn't fall the right way, we could have made it, but that didn't happen. So that was like the low of lows.
So I mean, describe that. Like, what is because you guys still have to put content out, right?
Yeah. Honestly, we didn't put much out after that. That was rough. That plane ride home was quiet. That was just like, you just felt, I don't know, just so defeated. I felt bad for the players because they're the ones that, you know,
are gonna have to live with this. Yeah.
Exactly, like live with that. Like, yeah, like legends out there like Clint Dempsey. It's gonna be on his record. But like, it just happened. But that was kind of crazy to be a part of.
You like hiding your computer while you're editing, so you just aren't bringing up like memories in the guys' minds.
Honestly, like I never looked at that footage again. I don't know what's happened to that footage. We haven't posted anything from that game, so like that would be something going back and
everyone
looking at
there
my
just
footage.
kind of put their hood on.
I remember footage that I shot that was like some of the. It's painful like thinking about it. Like I remember
like the pain in their faces.
Yeah, because I remember like I was saying, even if we lost, it was like there was still a chance that we could go through. So when the final whistle blew, so we're in Trinidad. I had no Wi-Fi, like no service on my phone. So we're in the middle of nowhere, Trinidad. Like road World Cup qualifiers. If you want to talk, you know, crazy atmospheres.
Yeah.
Oh, it's insane. But all right, so anyways, I had no service, and none of the players knew what was going on in the other games. So like when the final whistle blew and we lost, I remember like shooting our players on my long lens, shooting players, like look over to our press officer who was down on the field, and they were seeing, you know, what the other results were because he had his phone out. And I was filming, I want to say it was Matt Miazga. And I remember just his reaction, like he fell to his knees and like put his hands to his face, and then that's right there when I knew like, shit, we didn't. We didn't qualify. So that sucked. That was the worst.
Lowest of the low.
That was the worst experience. Yeah.
Dang.
For sure.
That's tough. What about, I mean, you've had some highs though. Definitely.
Highs, yeah.
You were with the women's team when they won, right?
Yeah.
I'd imagine that'd be pretty cool. But is there like, was that the top moment, or is there one or two that top that?
Honestly, that's probably the top moment.
It's like
be. Winning the World Cup. That was like insane.
And you were with the team, like you were embedded. Like,
I was so excited that we won that I couldn't believe if I was a player, like how I would have been reacting, because that was sick. Like they did all the work. And I was still so excited. So like just to be a part of that was awesome.
Did you have your hand on a bottle of champagne in the locker room with a camera in the other hand?
Yeah, that was fun. Not gonna lie, that was fun. Like the post celebration in the locker room was like something I'll never forget. And just like the parade coming home. Like the parade coming home in New York was insane. I didn't expect it to be like that, but like that's when I remember thinking to myself like, damn, this is like way more than just like a women's soccer game. Like the players like were playing for something that was like far bigger than just winning a World Cup.
Yeah.
Like they were like fighting for women's rights.
Right.
And like I remember coming to the parade and like, you know, everyone's chanting like equal pay and stuff like that. And you're just like, wow, you know, because like when you're in France, you're not like with America, so you don't like know what's going on back in the States.
All the storylines.
Yeah, you don't know the coverage.
About.
Like you don't really pay attention to it.
Right.
Even though we're like the media team. Like,
but you're so busy focused on your stuff.
Yeah, you really don't pay attention to that stuff. As weird as that sounds, you just it's not really on your radar.
Right.
But like coming back here and like seeing how much like the country was like following the World Cup, and then like seeing the support that they had, just America had for our team was just crazy. So that was like a really cool moment, the parade, something I won't forget. But so that had to be the top moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it had to be the top.
So you've kind of gone through your women's soccer stuff, but that's not full time, obviously. Like how do you get other gigs, whether it's creative stuff or it's just replay ops?
Yeah, that's just like networking.
Yeah.
Like literally my production world started with that ESPN3 internship and then has just slowly branched off from there. Like just getting to work with people at that ESPN3. Andrew Leahy was like the first producer of that whole thing, engineer, and like he got me a job doing some like high school football or like a different event outside of Big West. And then like you work on that gig and you meet someone on there and they're like, hey, this kid's pretty good at replay, like we could use you over here. And then you meet some more people. It's just like, you know,
one thing leads into another, leads into another,
exactly.
leads into another.
So that's kind of how my live production career has kind of just gone. You just like meet someone and leads to your next gig. So yeah, like I think it was key though, getting to like fail at the ESPN3 level and like getting to make your mistakes.
Right.
Because then when I got like recommended onto these other jobs, I was like ready, and then
it wasn't like it was your first time sitting there.
Exactly, yeah. I was better in that position, so then it was like, all right, this kid knows what he's doing, like we could use you over here.
Right. Which nowadays, like a lot of universities have the ability to get those you know, kinks out, I guess you could say, or get over the learning curve with, if it's not the same software, like for instance, you said you use EVS, I'm sure you're probably EVS certified or whatever. Or did you do the class?
I do use a bunch. So I learned on a replay system called NewTek 3Play. That's what we use at the ESPN3. So like a lot of the streaming stuff, we use NewTek 3Play because it's just like cheaper, right?
Right. And it's integrated with the TriCaster, right?
Yeah, integrated with TriCaster. Yeah, exactly. So, but it's just, it has its flaws, right? It crashes, it doesn't work, it doesn't play back right, all that stuff. But yeah, so I started on that, and then I've learned.
But we love it in case NewTek ever wants to come in and sponsor, you know.
But no, I've learned Dreamcatcher, which is Evertz, and then
so just pays to learn. You just never know what gig you're going to get on, but it just pays to learn all of them.
Yeah, the more you know, the more work you can get, because like, so the last production I did was the Mint 400, which you were familiar with. It's off-road racing in the middle of the desert in like Las Vegas state line. And on that truck we didn't use EVS. It was a Ross replay system called the Mira. So yeah, it's just the more you know.
Did you have to learn that, or did you already know?
I had used it before, but you know, the more systems you know, then
do you get hired on gigs where you haven't used the system before and you just kind of figure it out?
Sometimes, yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you've been, but like starting out, do you remember being like, oh, here's Dreamcatcher, I've never used this, but let's figure it out?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Like, what is that process for you?
I just did a Pac-12 network game where they switched out it was going to be a 3-play for Pac-12 network, which is kind of weird, but they switched it out for a system called Simply Live, just a newer replay system. And so I just like learned it the day of and did the broadcast. Came in early
and just figured it out.
The thing is though, like once you know replay, once you know how it works, once you know like what people are looking to see and like the basic sort of like role as a replay operator, then you can kind of figure out like, all right, it's just like, it'd be like playing an Xbox and then switching over and playing it on like a PS4, you know?
Great analogy there. I love that.
It's just like a little bit different.
Right.
But
you're still playing the same game.
You're playing the same game.
The buttons are just a little bit different, but still similar enough that
Exactly.
in similar enough places. And okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good analogy. Yeah, I mean, I've only used 3Play, so like, but I don't know. I know there's different ways to learn other softwares and to throw yourself into it, and it benefits to learn all of those.
Definitely. Just like the more you know, too, the more jobs you can get. So that's like the main thing, right? The more systems you know, then the more gigs you can get hired for.
Do you have any resources or anything online that you use to help you learn these things, or is it all just you kind of get your hands on?
Kind of hands on, yeah. That's the thing with the TV world is like you kind of have to just get out there and do it. It's like you got to get your hands on it. You got to be in that room to like see how it all works, because it's just a different environment. It's like the reason I like live sports television is because it like very much reminds me of like when I played sports. It's like you're live, so you know you're working as a team to like put out the best product you can, but at the same time like you're live, so there's pressure to like make it right and like make it good the first time and not mess up. And like I like that, kind of like get your blood going, like you like before the start of the broadcast you get your adrenaline gets going just like you would, you know, before you play like a big game or whatever. So like that's kind of the cool part for me. I think that's why I like doing live TV, is like you get that feeling of like being a part of a team and like going out and executing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right on. So just going down more into like resources and stuff like that, are there any blogs or anything you use online or any resources that you use to kind of grow in your career or in life, either one? YouTube channels, anything like that?
Not really, just like staying in touch with people I've worked with, to be honest. Like people I've met here at Hall Pass who are now doing other things, people I've worked with at Chapman, like just talking to other people in my role, you know,
right.
Like talking to other videographers, talking to other editors, like seeing how they do things. That's kind of how I've sort of like grown as a, you know, on that side of things, as a creative side for sure. Like seeing, you know, when you work with different people, you pick up on things.
Right.
Like when I worked with you, I would pick up on like how you would edit certain things, how you would edit like these like highlights a certain way. When I work with, you know, did work with the Chargers this last NFL season, like you see how they kind of edit their documentary type series or how they shoot things, or, you know, so you're like picking up things just from other people as you kind of go.
Are you talking like, I mean, this probably is a few different areas, but like organizational structures of the projects and the edits, or is it like or the way that they cut things? Like, okay, that shot cut with this shot, I wouldn't have thought of that, but they did it and I like the way that looks. Let me try to incorporate that.
Both, like seeing people's, so like editing, if you want to talk editing, like editing is cool because you see how different people's workflows kind of work, and like you can pick up on things, and like there's just a million ways to do it, right? So I right now we edit on Premiere. Most everyone who I've worked for recently everyone is like Premiere, because the Adobe suite is easy to integrate with like After Effects and stuff like that. So it seems like a lot of people are using Adobe. And so you get to kind of see, like when I was with the Chargers, I saw like how their editors kind of like worked their projects, like even just like layout of your screen,
of your bin,
you know, like just stuff like that. You pick up things, or like I
mean, there's so many tools within the software, even within Premiere, that are like, oh, you use that way? I never thought of that. Like,
exactly. So like stuff like that, and yeah.
No, there's so many different ways, and like just getting yourself out there and working with all these different people helps you pick that up. I mean, I don't work with necessarily that many people because I'm the only in-house video guy here, so like that's why I love doing this and talking to people and getting to pick their brains and stuff like that, because it's getting me to re-expand and stuff. And I mean, I even remember when you came in, there was things that you were editing, some of these highlights that I was giving you, where I was like, oh, I wouldn't have thought I wouldn't have thought to do that at all, you know? Not necessarily that it's better or worse, it's just different, and that gave gave me like more creative inspiration to try that, incorporating that into other stuff. And so like that's why even interns, like I love giving them stuff to edit, because it's like you can learn stuff from them and how their mind thinks creatively, and same thing, hope that they take that from me or whatever. You know, the way that things are done, and just kind of expanding on that creative process and everything.
Yeah, I mean that's like when like it's cool because like U.S. soccer, sometimes I'll shoot something and I'll hand it off to someone, they'll edit it, and so it's like when I'm shooting it, I see it one way, and then you hand it to the editor, and you can like tell them how you see it, right? But then you just like let them do their own thing, and sometimes what they come up with is like, like that works better, like that works better than what I was thinking. So it was like, yeah, I love like. That's my favorite thing about freelancing, is that I've gotten to work with a bunch of different people and like see how they do things and like see how they think, or see how they like edit a certain piece, and just try to like take things from them and incorporate it in my stuff. I think that's how I've grown in the editing standpoint.
Do you have any like passion projects or anything right now that, you know, is close to you that you're working on? Not
right now, but we did a documentary, me and my buddy, about a Penn. It was like a historical doc about a Penn basketball team that made it to the Final Four, and that was just like a passion project. We just did it on our own. Like we went on Kickstarter and got funding through that, and basically like got our equipment and went on the road and started shooting interviews, and then just like see where it went. And like that was a great experience because we learned a ton about what it takes to like make a documentary.
How long was the doc?
It ended up being about 30 minutes. Okay. Yeah, it's 30 minutes.
And how'd that do? I mean, did you guys go a film festival run? Did it get picked up?
We applied to some film festivals, and we didn't. We were hoping to get into the Philadelphia Film Festival.
Right.
Because it would make sense, right? It was a local story, but we didn't get into that, so we haven't done much with it.
Is it available?
Since then,
is it out there? Is it released?
You can go on our Vimeo page and check. You can go on our Vimeo page and check out the documentary. If anyone's out there looking to buy some content. But yeah, no, it was like a great experience to like see what it takes to like put that together. Because also, I'll never do a historical documentary again if you don't have the rights to the footage, because that's just a pain in the ass. Like dealing with the NCAA to like, I don't know, get those rights. Yeah. Like that's expensive.
Licensed tournament footage and all that stuff.
The licensed NCAA tournament footage, that's expensive. So
do you have anything else like conceptually that you're thinking about even, or does that kind of put you off of it for a little while?
You always got to think about what you want to do next. Right. There's some ideas that we've been talking about, kind of like college basketball related ideas, but nothing that we really started to like pursue. But I think like, you know, like when we were doing the documentary about Penn basketball, like the advice, like we pitched it to ESPN 30 for 30 to be a 30 for 30 short. We pitched it to, who was it? Uninterrupted. So we had a few people that were like, you know, we were talking to and liked the idea, liked the concept. It just didn't really fit in their content scope at the time. But like, I think what we learned is like, you know, if you do a good job, even if this project doesn't like fit their mold at this time, like maybe they'll come back, or maybe a future project they'll be interested in. So it's like you always got to be thinking about what's next, you know, because if it's not this project, then, you know, maybe they'll be interested in the next one. So yeah, we're always thinking about something to do next. We've both been busy with work, so you know, it's like that balance of like doing what you want to do and then like also having to like get paid. So
when you say we, you're talking about
Bazooka. So we have our own like production company, Bazooka Entertainment, being me and Ben Weiner, who I talked about a little bit earlier, who we started at Chapman together. And so we made our own production company and have done some videos for some things, and that was like our first project. The Penn documentary was like our first big project that we tried to get done. So yeah. And
you both kind of do similar things as contractors or freelancers, right? Like what does he do versus what do you do?
Yeah, he actually he worked for NFL Network in their features department for a little bit. But now he's completely freelance. So he's kind of had some connections in the NFL world, and that's helped him get freelance work with NFL Network. And then I have some soccer stuff, so now he's doing some soccer stuff too. Like, it's just kind of, we've been kind of like sharing contacts.
Yeah.
Like the Chargers, who I worked with this past NFL season, like he had worked there before, so he's like, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. So we've been kind of like sharing contacts to kind of keep each other busy. So that's worked out nicely.
It's good to have that kind of professional partnership and friendship, and that, you know, developed in school, right? So,
exactly, yeah.
You know, that's where those relationships come in. So what are some, I mean, and you talked about, you know, more recent passion projects, but what are some career aspirations for you? Have you thought that far ahead?
I mean, yeah, definitely. Like
what's the ultimate? Is there an ultimate or a peak?
See, like the thing is, I got to pick a route, right? Like I'm like in this crossroads right now of going live TV and then going more creative. So I think it's just kind of like gonna depend which way I end up going. I mean, I would love to be like a producer for live sports.
Like produce a Super Bowl or something one day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, anything. Like just be a producer for like basketball or baseball, whatever it may be, for a live sports production. But then I could also see myself like going the creative side and like working in a video department and kind of like more as like a, you know, head of a video department or coming up with like a creative idea for whether it's like a sports organization, like professional organization, or like college or something like that. I think it would be fun too.
Do you think you see yourself more with it, like, you know, say women's soccer, being the head of creative content for women's soccer, or for a professional sports team, or starting your own agency or production company?
I've thought about that too. I mean, that would be the dream goal, right? Just to continue like working for myself, basically.
And getting bigger and bigger, so you're bringing people underneath you and getting to produce these documentaries that people are coming to you with. Yeah, like part of the fun of being a freelancer is like you can kind of do what you want to do. And like, yeah, so I would never close that off, like making my own production company and like, you know, being able to control what, you know, who you work with, what projects you do, because that's fun. Like, even when you're on the road with U.S. Soccer, like you're making videos that U.S. Soccer wants you to make. Whereas when we were doing our documentary, it's like we had complete control over what we wanted to shoot, when we wanted to shoot it, how we wanted to tell the story. So there's something pretty fun about that aspect of things too. Yeah. So when you talk about like working with different people, I want to go, and this is kind of something I pose to everybody in their different positions in the industry, but what are some traits and characteristics, and let's use, I guess, a live production as an example, that people you like to work with have, or that make you want to work with people? You know, say it's a producer or whoever hits you up for that job. And likewise, have there been any that hit you up that you're like, I don't want to work for you, and what are those traits, you know? Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's people out there that you're just like, you know, you say no to because you don't necessarily enjoy working with. But like, why? What are those reasons that make you not want to work with them? That's what I want to get at. All right. Well, here, I'll give you a good story then. So this past weekend, I was at the ACC tournament, ACC basketball tournament, and I was there with U.S. Soccer, and I was filming a feature on one of the vice presidents of ESPN who oversees the ACC network, and she still oversees ESPN Soccer, but she used to be like a game producer for ESPN Soccer. So all the old World Cups that ESPN used to do, she was a producer for that. She was a producer for the 1999 Women's World Cup that we had here, where the final was in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl. And so like we got to shoot this feature. Her name's Amy Rosenfeld. And she was like very inspiring to me. We sat her down and we had an interview for, it was probably like 15, 20 minutes, but she had some like really good talking points. And like one of them that really hit home with me was how her background playing sports has like led her to become a good teammate in the production world. And like she was saying how even though she wasn't, you know, a D1 athlete, she played D3 sports like me, even though she wasn't like the best athlete of all time, like playing team sports at a young age, it teaches you how to be a good teammate, how to like support people
who, how to treat your teammates differently to get your team going in the right direction. Like how to be a good leader of a team. Like some players might need you to like boost their confidence a little bit. Some players might need you to like wake them up a little bit, yell at them. Like you have to learn how to like treat different players. And like that carries over to the production world where it's, you're a team, and how those values that you learn playing team sports when you're little carries over to how you are in the professional world also. How you treat people, getting people to pull in one direction. And I remember coming away from that interview like, yeah, that pretty much hits
some great advice.
That like hits the nail on the head,
yeah.
Right? It's like no matter what environment you're in, the most important thing is being a good teammate.
Right.
And so I think like going back to your question, the people I like working with the most are the people that bring the most out of you. And those are the people you like working with, and those are the type of people that have the personality traits that make them a good teammate.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's my answer
Cool.
to that
no,
question.
it's great insight. I love it.
Shout out Amy Rosenfeld. She was amazing to be around last week.
What advice do you have for people looking to get into your position? And I guess you kind of have two positions, but you can choose either one or for both.
Just like go for it. Like people are always scared about being a freelancer, I think, because, it's not necessarily, you don't have that paycheck coming in weekly. You're not like, in a part of an organization. But like sometimes if you just like, if that's what you want to do, just go for it. Like, you can build, the more you do, the more contacts you make. And like, that's how I've just continued to grow as a freelancer, is just like say yes to things. I always, when new companies reach out to me, even if like they don't pay me as much as this other company, if it's the first time, I'll say yes, because like who knows what in the future
it's going to lead into.
Right? So I've met so many people just by like saying yes to jobs, just like say yes to things. But like you see a lot of things on Twitter, like, don't do things if you're not getting paid, all that stuff. Like obviously, yeah, like I understand that too, but like just say yes to things if you're interested in it and it's like a good opportunity, even if it's not the best opportunity, like you never know what it could lead to next, I would say. So just like, if you're trying to get into live sports TV and someone offers you a chance to like be a utility on this show,
right?
You don't want to be a utility, but like just go for it. Just say yes. Like you'll end up talking to the camera guy that you're being a utility for, and who knows what he's doing on the side, because he's a freelancer also. What if he needs help on his next gig? He'll bring you along if he likes you. So
and that doesn't always happen on one gig. Like sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 gigs. You just have to be a familiar face around these people, and once they start seeing you more, they'll be forced to kind of bring you around, because you'll always be there.
Definitely, like just go show that you want to be there, and like Amy was saying, be a good teammate, and like put yourself out there and go for it, and then just see what happens. Like that's just how my career's gone. Like when I started, I had no real plan. Like I was just, U.S. Soccer asked me to go to Costa Rica, and I said yes. Like sure, I'll go, and then that led to the next one. So just kind of just say yes to things. Yeah, be a good teammate. Where
do you think that your industry will be in 10 years?
Oh, that's TV wise, that's tough, because I have no idea where TV's going. Who knows? It could be all streaming. Sports television could be completely different in 10 years than what we know today. I mean, it could be all streaming. So that's interesting. Like just in the time that I've been from college to now, which has been like 5 or 6 years, that's, the television industry has changed so much. Like you can literally watch any game you want now at all times. Like it's on somewhere, right? ESPN Plus, ESPN3, like whatever it is, Fox streaming platform, you can watch it. So in 10 years, I don't know where that's, honestly, I have no idea where that's heading. In terms of the creative side, like that's growing now more than ever also. Like everyone needs a creative team. And like it's not just sports teams too. I'm just doing it in sports because that's what I enjoy. Like I love being around sports. That's what I grew up. I watch sports all the time. Like I love being around the athletes that I work with, because it's fun for me to like watch them work, right? It's fun for me to be around them, but every company is looking, sports or not sports, is looking for a creative brand, right?
I mean, video is the way of the future. I mean, people ingest things instead of reading them now. People want to watch.
People watch things now, exactly. So like, that's taking off on a whole new level for sure. And like the graphics side of things is like really taking off, which is something that I'm not amazing at, like After Effects stuff. But I would say like now, like kids coming out of college are like doing these crazy, you know, After Effects stuff. And I'm just like, wow, that's pretty sick, you know? And like, that's become like sort of the standard now of like, if you're like a big company, if you're a big sports organization, like that's what they're looking to see.
Yeah. Are you dabbling in that at all? Or are you just kind of saying, I'm going to focus on what I'm good at and get better at that? Or do you try to diverse yourself?
I try to diverse myself. Like I try to get better at everything and add tools to my, you know, my
repertoire,
game. Get better. But yeah, just, I know that that's not what I'm great at just because I haven't been doing that. But so I'm just trying to focus on what I'm good at. But
do you have any specific like resources that you use to kind of pick up your After Effects game?
To research? No,
or like YouTube channels?
Hop on YouTube or talk to people.
Just Google what you're trying to do and find, or YouTube what you're trying to do.
YouTube is amazing, for in the creative world. Like,
I mean, that's how the kids are coming out and just being amazing, is because they've grown up on YouTube and they just know.
Right? Yeah, like if I want to like do some effect in some video I'm working on for US Soccer and I don't know how to do it, I'll just type it in on YouTube and then I'll learn right there and do it. So like that's basically how I started. Like I was saying earlier, like in high school, I had no idea how to use any of that stuff, just messing around with things, like literally just experimenting, seeing what happens. And that's how you get familiar with the software, and then boom, takes off from there.
Yeah. What's your biggest struggle right now? Either professionally or personally, but you know, aiming for professionally.
Biggest struggle. My biggest struggle is probably choosing a path, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
hey, that's fair. That's a good.
You know, that's like my biggest thing is like what I've been for the last couple of years is like really trying to decide like what path I want to go down, and because I like both worlds so much. So, yes, I mean, one of these days I'm just have to like go for it, you know, one way or the other.
You could possibly get assigned. You get one massive gig in one side or the other, and that could kind of spur you down that way. Is that kind of what you're hoping for?
I guess that's what I've been hoping for, just like seeing what comes. But like that's basically what I've been doing my whole time since I've graduated, is just like see what happens.
Right.
You know, like.
But it's worked out so far.
It's worked out. It's worked out. But I've just been seeing what happens. So I'm hoping that something happens, like you were saying, where it's just like, all right, this is where I need to be, and maybe that'll fix my struggle.
Hopefully that happens. Where can people follow you? Where can people check out your stuff?
Bazooka Entertainment, if you want to look at our my reel is on Bazooka Entertainment. Bazooka Entertainment Vimeo. You can just type in Bazooka Entertainment and find it.
Bazooka like the gum.
Bazooka like the gum, yeah. BazookaEntertainment.com. We have our website. Or you can, like, I'll post some stuff on my Instagram. I'm not like, I don't post a ton. I know like a lot of people who post like all their work on Instagram. I don't really do that, but so I would say check out Bazooka Entertainment website. You can see some of the videos that we've done, and then just follow Women's National. Follow US Soccer WNT, US Soccer MNT, and you'll see all the videos that I'm working on.
So, just thought of another question. Where did Bazooka come from? Like, what's the story behind that?
Bazooka is the boat it's a boat. So the Bazooka is a boat, and it's my uncle's boat.
All right.
A ski boat. And so, like, growing up, we'd go out on the Bazooka with him. And he had these shirts made and hats made. And one day, we were shooting a video, me and Ben, who's the other half of Bazooka Entertainment, and we were shooting a video, and I had the hat on, and he was like, "What's that hat?" And I was like, "Oh, that's the Bazooka." And then we went Bazooka Entertainment.
There you go.
There it is, and that was that. So it's kind of random. That's how it happened.
No, I didn't know. So
that's how it happened.
Fun little story, though. I'm glad that there's a story behind it, and it wasn't just random.
Yeah,
that's cool. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, man. It's just that's about it.
Any shout outs?
Shout out to Hall Pass. Albert, you're not here today, but shout out Albert. He was big. Fun working for you guys as always. So hopefully we do some more stuff in the future.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, no problem, Max. Good to see you.
That will just about do it for us today, Sports Creatives. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to check out any of Logan's work or find out more about anything we talked about, check out the show notes on shootingtoscore.com. You can also connect with Logan on Twitter at BeermanofGenius and on Instagram at Logan Beerman. If you have any questions or comments about today's episode for Logan or myself, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you enjoyed anything you heard, it would be hugely impactful for myself and the show if you rate it and reviewed it wherever you're listening. A big thanks to Hall Pass Media and Sports Business Classroom for making this all possible, and a huge special thank you to you, the listener, for taking the time to tune in today. Until next time, keep on creating.